Now, you and I are network engineers. We absolutely love the command line. We love going in and making precise configurations to configure the device just the way we want it to. We love monitoring efficiently at the CLI, but there are those out there. Maybe it's a Microsoft Windows kind of admin who just got stuck setting up one of the Juniper Gateway devices at his office. He doesn't have any idea about the CLI, none of that. He wants a simple web interface complete with wizards to guide him through. That's what JWeb is all about. A web-based graphical user interface for managing the Juniper device. It's like a footnote here in our course, but something that we should be aware of. And you might see a couple of questions about this in your certification exam environment. So our Windows admin Googles SRX 210 because that's the Juniper gateway they bought, and they Google JWeb. And there is a handy document that says, okay, take your management device, your laptop, and connect its Ethernet port to one of the Ethernet ports, and they describe which one. It's 0/1 through 0/7 on the SRX gateway. And then fire up a web browser and point to 192.168.1.1. Sure enough, the Juniper device has been pre-configured with factory defaults to give out DHCP assigned addresses off of those ports. So they hit enter and here they are. And of course, it instructs them to log in with root in this case. And there's no password at all initially. So they hit login and they come to the interior of the JWeb interface, and it's so smart, it realizes that there is no custom configuration, so it brings them to the setup wizard. You got it. They are just going to have a wizard that they can step through in order to set up this device. Now, I don't want to bore you with this wizard, so I'll run through it quickly here, and then I'll show you what we're most interested in, and that is the JWeb interface down the road, the non-initial configuration interface that we would see, and you actually want to be familiar with what's capable in there. So notice, once we do the initial configuration and we sign back into the JWeb interface, we're at a dashboard. And actually during the wizard, you say that you want to start at the dashboard, or you can choose one of these other tabs that you can start at. Notice the tabs are configure, monitor, maintain, and troubleshoot. And you can just immediately begin to envision what you would find under each of these tabs. Maintaining would be things like licensing and software upgrading, configure versus monitor. You get the idea. It's pretty intuitive. On the dashboard, notice we have system identification information, system alarms, resource utilization, security resources, just some really good immediate things to display for us there on the dashboard. When you slide over to the Configure tab, notice you have configure options. So if we want to configure VLANs, we just go under the Configure tab to the switching area, to the VLAN area, and here is a graphical user interface where we can add, edit, and delete particular configuration components. Pretty cool. We slide over to Monitor. We can monitor something like NAT, source NAT, destination NAT. So again, we choose the tab up at the top, then we choose the button along the side and the sub button to get right to the area where we want to monitor. Maintain. So here we would maintain configuration management like the history and the rescue config. There's software for uploading, installing, downgrading, licensing, rebooting, snapshot, and various files that are available on the particular device. And then we can slide over to the Troubleshoot tab, and we can see we can do things like ping and traceroute and RPM and packet capture and the CLI terminal itself. So this will actually load via a Java applet, and so we can actually access the CLI terminal. And it doesn't look like I have the right Java installed. No big deal. You get the idea here. We can access these troubleshooting components from this particular area of the JWeb interface. So I would definitely know from a certification perspective what tabs exist and what kind of stuff we do under each tab. And again, it's very simple because it's so intuitive. What's more interesting to me, though, is how the JWeb is functional out of the box like this. What commands are involved? What configuration is initially there to make this possible? Well, if we go to the Configure tab, one of the nice CLI tools we have here is a CLI viewer. So let's go ahead and take a look at the current configuration on the device, and sure enough, it's services. Okay, it's under the system hierarchy here. Under services, we have web management. Yeah, we have web management for HTTP and HTTPS. So this is the command structure that is making this JWeb an actual possibility for us when we go to utilize this graphical user interface. So the graphical user interface of JWeb is really not for me, and it might not be for you, but it's good to know that it exists. And in this nugget, we wanted to take a look at it, focusing on the configuration options and how they're laid out in the GUI, and also taking a look at the command structure that makes the GUI actually a possibility on one of our default Juniper devices. I sure hope this nugget was informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.